Sandra all the time is here with the cold hard truth. She's the ears and the eyes for me and you. Every day, everyone want to hear from Sandra. And every time on the air, she's getting better. Tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your mama to call Sandra in the morning and in the evening. They always calling Sandra. And when they start fighting, calling Sandra. And
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth. Welcome to another episode with more truth telling, more problem solving, and of course, more tea spilling than ever before. Sit back, students, grab your tea and turn up the volume because class is now in session. Call in at 936-2626 because your voice matters. Share your opinion on issues that matter the most to you. Good morning, K-Man. Happy Tuesday. How are you guys doing? Oh my, we have so much to cover this beautiful Tuesday morning. We're going to get into it in just a second. Good morning to all of our Instagram folks. Looks like Instagram's a little bit slow today. Yeah, all right. We're going to have open mic. Health City wasn't able to join us for a usual segment, so not to worry. We got lots more to talk about. do enjoy their very, very educational segments. And you guys are going to be shocked, I think, by what I am about to tell you this morning. Something really has me, as Caymanians would say, shock and surprisation. Yes, honey child. Let me just have a look here. All right, give me 1 second. Let me just grab all of our links so we can send those out to all of the good folks over here joining us in Radio Land. And of course, those of you who want to watch on social, I'm going to send out those links right now. So we continue to remind people to join the channel. I mean, that's the best way to get all the morning links for the show. And still there are people who are like, I don't know how to do it. It's so easy. You guys are like, oh, Miss Sandy, I'm not tech savvy. You don't have to be tech savvy. Trust me. This is, if you use WhatsApp already, this does not require any additional skill set. Very, very, very super easy. So let me just turn on the air conditioning. All right, so we got some sick people around here. Yes, Dad and Gigi, both under the weather. Looks like they caught a little cold or flu or something. You see, they didn't go get their vaccine like me, honey child. I got mine, and fingers crossed. It's going to give me some degree of protection as we go into the holiday season. And you know, this time of year, a lot of people are catching influenzas and all sorts of stuff, all kind of nasty bugs going around. So boost up your immune system as much as you can. Eat lots of fresh fruits and veggies. And yeah, you know, all of these things help. Now, I am cold free, but we're going to talk about my tooth extraction procedure. Fun times. And also, sorry, I do want to talk to you guys about something that I learned yesterday during my extraction procedure. Listen, every opportunity is an opportunity to learn something. And I think that we have to recognize that there's new information on the horizon all the time. And so, of course, that means that sometimes we learn something new in the world of medicine and science and everything else. Things don't stay the same. And so you've got to keep up and you've got to pay attention to emerging trends, especially as it has to do with your health. And I am having a little foot problem this morning, so I am going to be attaching my TENS machine here shortly to my feet. And then we are going to be on our way. When it's really inflamed, I'm going to be honest with you, that's the only real relief that I get. Thank God for this TENS machine. I bought another type of machine some months ago. I haven't yet tried it, so I can't speak to how well that one works, but it claims, you know, they claim it works better than a TENS machine. We're going to see. Like I said, I haven't used it yet, so we're going to see how that goes. But in the meantime, I know my trusty TENS machine, when I have a flare up, does the job. So right in the middle of the ball of my foot this morning, it's more of a vertical pain. Sorry, it's more of a vertical pain. It's actually going right down the middle of that ball of the foot area. So it does manifest itself differently. I can tell you, it's not always the exact same type of pain, but I think the cause is pretty much the same reason. So it's a pain. It's a literal pain in the foot and somewhere else, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But we crank up the TENS machine and we just try to keep it going. That was such a lifesaver during my South African trip, because I had to use it almost daily. It was ridiculous, the amount of pain I was in with my feet. Oh my God. Anyway, not trying to complain, because Lord knows, still a lot to be thankful for. Okay. So I'll be revisiting the foot doctor soon. I haven't really gotten anything exciting and new in terms of like treatments. So I think, unfortunately, this is a, chronic pain situation that I just have to learn to live with, which is not fun. Those of you who are in chronic pain, let me just extend my thoughts to you this morning because nobody knows it until they've had to deal with the situation. And I'm sure despite my complaints about my poor feet, there are those of you who suffer far worse than me constantly, because I can say that although it seems to be flaring up a lot lately, it's not 24/7. There are some days that I get it every day, but it'll kind of ease up here and there. So I know some of you live in far worse pain than that. And, chronic pain is no joke. So, I go to pain management specialists and we're literally trying everything. We're going to try a new foot cream soon. I'm waiting for the pharmacy in West Bay to put it together because they're the only, did you guys know that they're the only compound lab on island? Like they can make solutions of stuff. So there is a solution that Dr. Sydney has recommended. Big shout out to Dr. Sydney. I'm going to try that one. I tried one before that had CBD oil and stuff in it. Ugh, that didn't work. So I'll try this one. Like I'm not a pill popper, so I'm willing to try almost anything else. They say, soaking your feet, this and that, Epsom salt. Okay, how often do I have to soak my feet? Twice a day? I don't have time to soak my feet twice a day. I don't even have time really to do it once a day, but I can try and squeeze that in maybe most days. It's just very disruptive. I gotta tell you the truth. Things like this impact the quality of your life. But anyway, the pills will be the last resort. But I tell you what, at this point, if I have to resort to something, well, we're gonna have to talk about it. All right. So listen, I went to the dentist yesterday. First of all, before my dentist story, let me tell you all about my financial story. So I got hacked. Not hacked isn't the correct term at all. Those of you in IT are like, Sandy, we can't believe you're using the wrong term for this. Well, they got a hold of my little debit card. And I went to the dentist. I'm going to tell you about that story here in a second. And so then here I am after the dentist. She's like, take it easy for the next couple of days. I'm like, you do know I talk for a living, sort of, right? At first, she had no clue who I was when I said that. I'm not sure what she thought I actually did when I said that. But anyway, so I got home, took my medication. I was feeling a little bit tired. So I was sitting in my nice, comfy cinema chairs in the master, watching some horrible Chinese movie about unrequited love. But I was like, oh, yeah, good Chinese movie. Why not? And so, I see we got a spammer in the comments. Hold on, folks. Let me block and delete all their foolish comments. Stephanie Isaac. Oh, these people. Speaking of spammers. So anyway, I was sitting there, relaxing, but then kind of dozing off. And I got up because I didn't get up, but I woke up, looked at my phone, and I saw these text messages coming in about transactions. I'm like, I'm not on Amazon right now. Who's using my card? Well, it wasn't Amazon, but all these transactions were coming in. So first of all, let me tell you guys a little something, okay? This is very, very important. I don't know about any other bank, but if you bank with, because some of these banks, I'm told, actually take months to try to get your replacement card. Just on Thursday, I went to lunch with a girlfriend and she was telling me how, I think she said Scotia, but don't quote me on that. She was having her card compromised, not once, but multiple times. And every time she has to replace the card, she literally has to wait for like months to get a card back. And I'm like, months? Wow. So she was explaining, her little process. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. So anyway, I looked at my phone, but CNB allows you, I didn't know this for the longest time, because I guess this is one of the newer features of their online banking integration platform. You can literally notify them that you want to receive text messages or email notifications every single time your card is used. Do it. Trust me, do it. Okay. So I looked at my phone and I saw these notifications coming in like bam, 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 bam on my card. And I was like, who the heck is, hold on. Let me see here now. You see, now it's blocking my Amazon transactions. That's so messed up. Yep, Amazon trying to put through some stuff and they can't. So I'm going to have to go deal with that. All right. So, let me see. Hold on a second now. So I see one come in from Bullion by Post, Birmingham, GB. I'm like, Great Britain. I'm certainly not there. AO Retail Limited, Bolton, GB. So all of these seem to be from the UK. There's another one here for over $1,000. They tried that twice. And that's some company called Tony McDonald Menswear. So what that one really flagged me because I'm like, menswear for over $1,000? I don't think so. So, and then one called Toy Street, also in Great Britain. So here's the thing. I am always very cautious because I use this card a lot. Should have some holes in it by now. So I have this linked to a particular account that really is for the purposes of just using this card. I don't let money sit there for this exact same reason. Because I've always said, if my card is compromised, they're not going to get a lot from me. Oh, no, honey, yeah, they're not taking all my money. So sure enough, I saw these transactions. I called the bank. Now, I got a little bone to pick with CNB this morning. The good folks over at CNB, y'all know I ride with them, but I only ride with people when they are doing the right thing. Took me over 10 minutes on hold yesterday to get through to live person to complain about my card. Now, I've never had this happen at CNB before. Seems they were busy. But what I have noticed, and I spoke to the young man, very friendly. I appreciate the customer service, but I'm going to be honest with you. This is something that I've noticed. And I mean, in a way, this is going to sound weird, but it's the truth. Since they have moved this service back from Trinidad, because it used to be here. In fact, I even had the mobile number for the person here. But now you can call their regular number and somebody always answers it. They have like a 24/7 call thing, right? Sorry. So I had to wait 10 minutes to get transferred through. And then by the time I got him, well, of course, one transaction had gone through. Thankfully, it was only one because I only had probably about $500 in that account. And that's it. I don't use that account for anything else. So he said to me, oh, we've been so busy and we have a long list of transactions here that we're trying to verify. When Trinidad had it, I always received, and I do mean always, an email because that's my preference. Because if I'm traveling, I may not even be on the Keyman number. So I'm like, just email me, right? They always email and say, Miss Sandy, someone is attempting this. Is this you? And I say, yay, nay, whatever. And they were able to catch it. So CNB needs to figure something out. They either need to make Trinidad help them again. I'm just saying. Or they need more staff on the ground here. Because it is a staffing issue why they're not able to quickly go through the transactions like they have been with Trinidad. And I've noticed it before. There was a couple months ago when they were the system was overzealous. Let me make sure I get it right because Soka's listening. And it was therefore preemptively blocking my transactions with Amazon. And so I had to contact them about that. And, the fraud department normally, like I said, was very, very much on top of it in Trinidad. They would email all hours of the night and day and let me know if a transaction was having an issue. And then I could just respond and say, no, that's me. And they would release it and it would be no problem. So my card's officially blocked. They got me for $300, almost $400 CI. I've submitted my dispute form, and now we go through that process of, basically, but to CNV's credit, I should have my replacement card hopefully by tomorrow because I need it because I'm going away on Thursday. So I need my little card, honey child. I don't mind replacing my card every so often. I'll tell you why. Sometimes you signed up for stuff. There's actually a business in the US where they remind you of all these subscriptions and other stuff that you signed up for that you kind of forget about. And then you have, these transactions creeping in every month. Sometimes they're not a whole lot of money, $5 here, $10 there, but it's creep. So all of that adds up. And you're wasting money. There's actually one transaction that I know I signed up for something in relation to it, but every month or every week they were like charging me $6.99. And up until last week, I emailed them and I'm like, listen, what is this in relation to? I don't know what this is. Like I ordered something that was supposed to be a one-off situation, but I keep getting, I keep getting these weekly payments. What on earth is this? What am I paying for? And that company's customer service is obviously very poor because they've not responded to me. So I'm glad because now this card is done. That'll cancel that transaction as well. I dare them to message me about payment. I'm like, really? I queried payment and you never even responded. That's why I try to use PayPal. If you can connect your card to PayPal, trust me and use that because that gives you a layer of protection between you and the vendor because then you can dispute charges with PayPal. And PayPal is very aggressive when it comes to protecting the consumer, so much so that a lot of merchants complain about them, that they're being unfair to them because sometimes people will dispute something when, they did order it and whatever, and PayPal just returns it anyway. Good morning, caller.
Morning.
Hello, honey chill. How you doing?
Not bad.
Awesome.
What you need is a service that allows you to create a card number that's linked to your real card number,
Mm-hmm.
and then you share this created number with different vendors. So you create one and you say, okay, this is my utility bills, or this is just my light bill, and you create a different one for your phone bill. And whenever you have a problem with a particular one, you change that number.
Right.
You're not changing your actual card number.
Well, here's the problem. I don't know how these transactions are going through. So they, of course, asked me, did you get one of these text messages that you clicked on? I was like, absolutely not. So I don't know if this is a person. I don't know if this is just a bot, a website. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, eventually the money goes to a person, but I don't know how these transactions were being done. You know what I mean? So somehow the card got compromised, but it's not like blocking a particular vendor would have really helped because I've never done business with any of these people.
It will. It will, because you see, all right, the concept that I'm describing now, this is not a particular service that Apple Pay, for example, does. What I'm describing is a different type of service, but like, let's say if you use Apple Pay, for example, what that service does is creates what is essentially a token, a network token that represents your card. And so whenever you say to them, look, I've had a compromise or someone tried to use my card, you change the token. You don't change your account number. And so this is just the press of a button. You get a new token that they no longer know. Because you see, what usually happens in these types of compromises is that the rules are that you're not supposed to store a person's credit card number in your database.
Right.
Because it can get compromised.
Yeah.
Well, people ignore the rules, and then therefore innocent people get compromised. And so you have to be able to compensate for the stupidity of certain vendors.
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of people are doing things based upon comfort and ease of use and
Uh-huh.
not security. Security is hard. So what you actually need is tools that make security easier to do. And so when you get a compromise where you have different tokens for different services for different vendors, you can know the source of the
Uh-huh.
compromise relatively easy, because that one token only represents your electricity bill, or it only represents your telephone bill.
Yeah. But you have to do that with every single vendor is what you're saying.
Yes. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to, you can say, I'll do it with all of my utility bills, and I'll have one for Amazon, and I'll have one for everyone else. I mean, you can do it however you want to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that when you get a compromise, you don't have to redo all of your accounts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's the point, and you're able to have an idea about where the compromise is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some practices that are continuing to. I've had a big fight with a local bank here on the island over this two-factor authentication, and so they insist that you use this stuff, but they were insisting that you use it in an email or a text message, and that use of a one-time password using either email or a phone number has been depreciated officially on the internet for years. ICTA published a notice years ago,
Yeah,
saying
especially with text messaging.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole heap of things that people are continuing to do because it's convenient, or they're too lazy to do it properly, or
but
I don't know what.
Denny, for businesses, there's always a compromise between security and ease of use, because you are on the higher end of understanding of technology. The average person is still trying to message me to figure out how to join our WhatsApp channel. I'm just saying, right?
Yes, but
businesses have to balance that. I mean, I get what you're saying, security first, but business have to balance that with, okay, we recognize that consumers, who are afraid of online banking, they don't even want to do stuff electronically. They struggle with these advances. We got to take baby steps, and maybe eventually we get there. But in the meantime, there's that compromise that has to be made.
I'll give you an example. Logging into the bank using the online banking account. The purpose of two-factor authentication is that you receive that two-factor, that one-time password, via a different route than you're actually trying to log in to the account. Because if someone is impersonating you, and you use the same medium that they're using to hack you to give you the details you need to protect the account, then you might as well not have two-factor. If you're logging in using your browser and on your computer,
right,
you need to get two-factor from some other means.
Yeah.
Well, the bank was just saying, well, here's the two-factor code you need to get in. And I'm like,
listen, let's be, yeah. And it's always going to be a mouse and cat game, because let's be honest, these scammers are professional level a lot of times. Like I don't know if you've seen the catfishing shows where they not catfish, that's not the right term, but they basically, they become the people who hunt down the scammers, right? And they will break into their networks, their webcams, everything. So as they're scamming people, they're sitting there watching them, they're collecting data. And now the whole thing is, there's a whole YouTube channel committed to this, where they get the scammers going and like, oh, I know your real name is so and so, and this camera's like look around the office, like, how the heck does this person know this? And you're wearing a red shirt right now, and da 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 da. And of course, the people who do this to try to protect consumers and assist the police in making arrests, they're on the higher level of security expertise themselves, right? And that's how it works. There's always someone who's higher than you in your knowledge base. A lot of times, scammers can be pretty smart. They're up there. And so organizations have to have security teams and experts who can outsmart them with the latest technology. There was something the other day in relation to even Donald Trump, and now that he's in office, how your information might be compromised because of certain policies and things that he's doing. Spain, I don't know if you heard this story yesterday, but this is trending from a couple of days ago. The government in Spain is actually, as of yesterday, there's a new law for hotel owners and car rental firms where you need to collect people's personal information, their customers, anybody over the age of 14, and share it with the government. And listen to this. We're talking about passport details, home address, method of payment. And this all now goes to the Ministry of Interior. That's a severe infringement on people's legal rights. Their data could be so much more easily compromised. And keep in mind now that Spain is the second most popular destination for tourists in Europe, with more than 82 million visitors in 2023 alone. So all of a sudden, the government wants all of this information. How are they going to store that data? How is your information going to be safe? I mean, if I was thinking about going to Spain, I've just axed that whole decision.
Well, you see, this KYC requirements sound great until you think about the cons that are associated with it. And I understand why people want to identify people, but what the problem is that puts people at extreme risk. And this is one of my complaints that I've had about the implementation of digital IDs in the Cayman Islands. The Caymanian people are going to receive a crash course in what it means to have your identity stolen. Okay? And the reason for that is that the people that we're relying on to secure that technology insist on having backdoors that make us all vulnerable. And this is EU standards. Okay? Now, you can say, oh, you need a digital ID in order to do X, Y, and Z. That's great. So my question is, and this has always been for years, is if somebody compromises my ID and I need my ID to do everything, how long is it going to take for me to regain control of my ID?
Well, Denny, this is why, they need people on teams such as yourself. When you see them hiring, you make sure
They don't want to listen. They don't want to listen.
Well,
I listen. They have spoken to me.
Yes,
I have sat in a meeting, and I've done scenarios where I played the bad guy. I said, "You tell me how you're going to defend my information. I'm going to attack my information. I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to attack it." Okay. And what I'm saying to you is that we need to rethink some of the things we need to rethink. For example, is our right to privacy. And the reason for that is you need to be able to have the right to have private keys that the government can't demand that you release to them. Because let me give you an example. If you go and work for a company and they create an ID for you, you don't have control over the ID. They do. And so they can do whatever they want with it, right? They can create any ID for you and they can misuse it and it says your name. But the question is, are you aware that ID has been created and misused? And so the idea behind having a private key, that we have a human right protection of non-disclosure, is that if you go and work for a company and they create an ID, the only how that ID would be valid is if you sign it with your private ID to which only you have access. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of whoever else is running the ID system.
Right.
But
But
they're not
what
interested in
happens
that.
when the individual, if they're the only person that has access and that knows it, what happens if something happens to that individual where they can't remember it? Or, there's so many people who themselves have a hard time with security and these 2FAs and all this kind of stuff because they can't keep up. So this is where I'm talking about. There always is a bit of a compromise where you're trying to reach the majority of people, make systems secure, but still user friendly enough where people are going to be able to get through.
Well, all you would do in that situation is you would have to recreate a private key and redo your ID. There's not another way unless you want to rely on the existing system where you have someone else. You basically offshore that responsibility to someone else to manage it for you. Mm-hmm. But understand that the con of offshoring that responsibility is that now you're vulnerable to their integrity.
Mm. All right,
so
leave us there.
Have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are things, folks, that, we've got to think about. And I mean, there are ethical hackers who will test the redundancy of systems. In fact, even when government got compromised, when was that? Some months back, they didn't bother to notify people. I think CMR broke that story. They didn't tell anybody about it because then they came back in a press release and said, oh, well, none of your data or nobody's data was compromised. Well, to make people feel confident, you should inform them of the data breach to begin with. To be very, very clear, data breaches happen all the time. AT&T just had every single customer's information compromised, or email addresses, a few months back. These things do happen, but it just demonstrates, and I agree absolutely with Denny, but it does demonstrate the necessity to have your systems. Be very, very clear. Data breaches happen. Oh, Lord, y'all need to turn down the radio when you call, honey Jill. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi.
How are you all?
Good.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, August, for the first time, locally, I was scammed. I actually called PayPal myself because I was having an issue with paying for a vehicle, and I was paying through them. So I called Royal Bank. I called them, and when I called them, it's connected. So the person that I called at PayPal, they didn't call me, I called them. He said to hold on, he was gonna get me a senior because he was there with me on the phone for a while to see. He was telling me to check all of this and so forth to see if it was actually taking place. And I was saying no. So he said, I need your code to get in. And I said, but I can't give you that. I would actually be giving you my account. So he said, okay, can you go in? And I said, yes, I can. Because it's a business account, I get a security code to go into my account. So I got it and I went in. And he said to me, to do this, do that, and I'm there doing everything. And he told me he couldn't help me. He was a trainee. He just been there with the company for just a short period. So he would actually get his supervisor. I said, no problem, because that happens, and I'm there waiting. So finally, the supposed to be supervisor came in. I think he ported out the call when he had me on the phone. He worked with PayPal, but he ported out the call. That's why it took so long. So when the supervisor supposed to be come on, he told me to go through everything again with him, and I did. And he said, okay. He had experience in this, and he was going to do this, and blah blah. And then he was acting and saying some things, and I was like, no, this person here is about to scam me. So I looked and I saw them online in my account, and the little mouse moving, and I see him going to move my money. And I said, hey, don't do that. You're touching my money. He said, oh no, he's going to wire it to himself and he'll wire it all back to me.
I don't understand. Who is this person?
This is on PayPal. I call PayPal.
Are you
Like,
sure you reached PayPal? Because that's not how PayPal works.
well, I called the 1-800 number that was there. Let me put it like that. And
Okay.
that, yeah.
So
So I
they
called
were
them.
gonna move your money around?
Well, this is what I'm telling you now. This is how I'm trying to tell you that this is why I think that when I called PayPal,
Mm,
I think the guy ported out my number, like ported me out, connect me to somebody outside of PayPal, is what I'm saying.
something sounds very strange there, but okay.
Well,
Yeah.
it happened and the money's gone. And before it was gone,
So what is
I
PayPal doing
asked,
about it?
well, this is it. They told me that I must have go to the criminal tier and report it, and I did. And
No,
this is
something.
August a year.
No. Something. Yeah, I don't
So,
think you
so
called. I don't
what?
know who you called, but I'm not so sure you called PayPal. Now, here's the other thing, Miss Joyce San.
Well, the
When you
bank, right?
search,
Let me tell you now. At least with that, the bank, right? So
mm-hmm,
this is like I call Royal Bank because I know I've been dealing with them 28 years, 29. So
mm-hmm,
I know that most of the old workers. And I call one person in there and I say, listen, I think, they're going to try to scam my account. I need you to put a temporary stop. She said, I can't. You need to call Nassau, Bahamas, whatever it was. So I called them and it was like,
mm-hmm,
okay, well, we got to do all the security. So they're doing all the security checks and everything.
mm-hmm,
I'm saying, I'm still watching my money. Can you just put a stop for now and we go through
mm-hmm,
everything? I said, you have identify who I am. It's my accounts and all of this. Can you just put a stop? And it's like,
mm-hmm,
no, I got to go to the wire department. We can't do it. We take your information and but. So what I did, I transferred to another account that money that was there. I
mm-hmm,
took it and transferred it out. When I transfer from that account, now I forget like my employees go in the morning to make deposits in the bank. All in my head, everything is going on. I'm not even thinking about, that
Miss
right
Joyce
now,
San, I'm going to
deposit.
ask you to wrap it up because I do have an urgent message coming in that I need to talk about.
So anyway, Royal Bank didn't do anything. I called and I even called the company, everybody.
Mm-hmm,
And do you know that eventually my another deposit was done? When the deposit
mm-hmm.
was done, the people still got the money. I had moved the money from one. And they still and Royal Bank, they did nothing about it. They was like, yeah, we're gonna get back to you. We're gonna get back to you. And this is before it happened. I even
Yeah.
moved the money. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know who, if you say it was, but I called the
No,
one eight
I
hundred
can tell you
number.
something here in a second, but let me do this announcement about this accident.
Okay,
Thank you, Miss
okay,
Joyce. San. I
okay,
figured
honey.
out as she continued talking, I figured out exactly what happened to her, and so I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But in the meanwhile, folks, we've got a major accident this morning by DVDL. Let me just grab some pictures here, asking all of you to please, if you are heading into town using this particular route, you do need to exercise extreme caution this morning. I suspect this roadway is now going to be closed. So if you haven't gotten this far yet, by all means, try to maybe go through South Sound. By that point, you're ready in the thick of it anyway. I mean, stay home might be the better bet. Because yeah, you're gonna have some major issues this morning. So give me 1 second. Let's do a little photo dump here, and I'll show you guys exactly. So a black vehicle, it looks like an SUV, has flipped by the DVDL. That's a Department of Vehicle Licensing, those good folks there. So here is the vehicle, and I've gotten multiple pictures here. It's a little more challenging. I don't know if this taxi hit them and was involved in this, because there is one here where the taxi is a little bit closer to them. Morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Morning, not bad. How are you?
Fine, and hearing you talking about that somebody's got a little bit of money from you, but I was calling in the other day. Remember the other day I was calling in? You talking about the same thing? Well, I have a very a very close friend of mine from over in Honduras. Okay? And he has his account here in Cayman National Bank. $10,000 were hacked from his account. 10,000 CI dollars were hacked from his account. He said he don't do online banking. He doesn't do online banking. And
yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to do online banking. You just need to use your card somewhere, and then somebody else gets a hold of it.
But he didn't use his card down there when he was down there.
Well,
but he said that it was hacked 10,000, and he tried to get some money and he couldn't get any, and the bank notified him then that his account was hacked. So he flew up here to Cayman National Bank, and went in there and he said, well, they gave him a printout. They gave him a printout, he said, of like every other day that they was using his account, buying stuff. And then I said, Cayman National Bank, then we'll get back to you. He said he haven't heard anything from that since. Yesterday, another person, the lady that I was telling you about earlier too, from Scotia Bank, she said she had $1,200 or $1,300 in there, and she said like she was off the island, and when she came out, she said she went back again yesterday, and they told her, well, you didn't use your you didn't use your account, so it's gone. I mean, come on, Miss.
Well, yeah, I do think that I think that's a different situation. And the recommendation I made last time is she needs to reach out to Scotiabank in writing and inquire about, exactly what happened to her money, because there is a process here where you can complain about banks. So she needs to do that. I am surprised that no one would have informed her. If the reason is because it's a dormant account, I'm surprised that no one would have informed her of that. But we heard that story last week, Mr. George. I'm going to ask you to leave me there with it. We did hear all the details last week. What she needs to do is what was suggested, which is simply to reach out to the bank in writing. Since last week, has she done that? And ask them.
They done all of that, Miss Sandra. They done all of that, and Scotiabank not telling her. They only tell her, sorry, you didn't use your account.
Well, listen, Scotiabank, they're not the easiest to get a hold of, but I'm sure somebody at the bank is listening this morning, Miss Novlet or somebody else. Have her reach out directly to Miss Novlet. I'm sure Miss Novlet she still works there, and she checks her email. So I don't know what to tell you, because they're not really the best with email. You see, this is the difference. Although I had to wait 10 minutes for CNB to answer the phone, they answered the phone. I spoke to a live person. They locked the card immediately. I was able to, have him email me the form. There are different levels of customer service. This is why y'all need to start dealing with banks who understand. Things happen. People get compromised every single day. Couple months ago, I had a little chuckle when this guy, this was a very sophisticated plan, and they took him for a lot of money. Andy Cohen. Andy was talking about, how he got compromised. And by the time he realized what had happened, it was already too late. Because he's like, oh my God, because they did the whole calling thing where you called or whatever, they sent a code. This is back in January of this year, he fell victim to a very sophisticated, by all accounts, credit card scam. And of course, he was going around telling people, this is what he learned. He's like, please, folks, be careful, because I'm going to read you a little bit of what happened to him. He had actually lost his card. So the timing, everything kind of lined up in the worst possible way. He had actually lost his card, and he thought when he got the call that this was the real deal. These were the people. This is what he said. He said that he was scammed after he lost his debit card. The next day, the Bravo host said he received an email that appeared to be from his bank's fraud alert department. And of course, he's thinking, oh, this makes sense because I just lost my debit card. It wasn't. So it was just a coincidence in timing. He says it wasn't because I lost my card. I was like, oh, this must be real. I didn't click on the email address. Always check that. And he needed to click on the email address instead of just the link, even though it may say the name of your bank. If you click on it, you'll see that's actually not yourbanks.com. These are ways now that as consumers, you guys also have a responsibility to protect yourselves. And I'm going to tell you, as Miss Joy Sand is speaking about how she spoke to PayPal, you know how hard it is to get a hold of PayPal, first of all? I knew immediately she did not speak to anybody at PayPal. And I'm going to tell you what happened to her. Folks, you guys have to be, I'm not saying that you're going to be smarter than scammers because God knows they have time for nothing else. They're out there scamming 24/7. But the only reason I'm sharing this story with y'all this morning is there are things that you can do. So turning on those alert notifications, which I didn't know about until this year, I started using it, where it alerts me every time a card is used. So you know immediately. You're not finding out when you get your monthly statement weeks later, days later, whatever. You know, try to jump on top of it, folks. So in his case, he didn't verify the email address. He clicked into the link in the email, which took him to sign into his bank's page, and that's a fake page, which gave the scammers access to his account. They then asked him to sign into his Apple ID, which was a red flag to him, because how would the bank know that you even have an iPhone or an Apple ID? So you got to pause. And a lot of times it's like, you're like, oh my God, I need to do this, and this to get back online. They're rushing you because they don't want you to think about it. They don't want you to go, hold on, this doesn't make any sense. So this is where you've got to be careful. And then he said, no one will ever ask you for your Apple ID. I said, this is a scam, and I got off. I didn't think anything of it. So he didn't act immediately. What he should have done was contacted his bank right away, because by then they're already well on their way to taking your money. So the next day, he got a text message from what appeared to be from his bank asking if he was trying to use his card. He responded it was not him. And then he got a call from a person who wanted to review his recent charges, which he said they could see because they had access to his account. You see how smart they are? He inadvertently gave them access to his bank account the second he clicked on that link and logged in. So now they're texting you and they're calling you. And of course you think this is the bank. Who else can see all of my transactions? Because the first part of it was successful. Now they need him to complete the second part before they can grab his money. All right. So then the person said they're going to send him some codes, which they asked him to tell them what the codes were. They sent him 3 codes because now this is them trying to move money, trying to do transactions, and which he said were actually wire transfers out of his bank account. And that was it. Okay. So he goes on to say, I think I'm on with my bank and they were so good. Whoever they are, I hate you, but you're very good at your job. He goes on to say that he was on the phone with the impersonator for over an hour and they did something so nuts. They asked him to enter numbers into his keypad. And at that point, something flashed on his phone, call forwarding activated. I happened to take a screenshot of it. I was like, this is weird. So now listen to what they've done. They've set him up with a real bank is soon going to be contacting him, but they have just made him call forward his number, his calls to them. So he will never get that phone call. This was an extremely sophisticated one, right? They would have targeted him, probably knew exactly who he was. And I don't know that he ever stated how much money they took, but he said it was a lot of money. And for Andy Cohen, he's a multimillionaire. For him to say they took a lot of money, we're talking about 6 figures, no doubt. So he said that what he didn't know is that he had set up call forwarding and allowed incoming calls to be forwarded directly to the scammers. When the bank called to ask what he was doing with these wires, because they call you to say, there were sizable wire transfers, the calls were then forwarded to the hackers, right? So then he said he called his bank's fraud number after that, and they would call him back in about 30 minutes. He never got a call back. And so I said, well, that's weird. And my phone was silent all night. Of course it's silent because all his calls are getting forwarded to the scammers. So he went into the bank's branch the following day and found out that money had been wired out of his account. Cohen did not disclose the amount he lost, but he said it was significant. So now the NYPD's cybersecurity unit is on the job. And I don't know if they've made any headway since January. Now, this is what he said. I consider myself a smart, functioning member of society. Before he shared his tips on avoiding imposter scams, check the email address, he said. Absolutely. Click on it always. So, folks, let me tell you how to do that. This is very, very important. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from, your Outlook, Gmail, whatever. When you get an email purporting to be from someone, so somebody can send you an email right now, some random person in Nigeria, India, Timbuktu, it doesn't matter. When they send you an email address, it will say Sandy Hill, and you're thinking, oh, that's her. No, it's not. What you need to do is click on the name, Sandy Hill, and see the actual email address. That's how you will know that is not Cayman National Bank. It might be close to it. And sometimes they have these weird numbers in it and whatever. Sometimes the email address is not even close at all because, it's more difficult for them to get a legitimate .com, but they'll set up something to be able to send you emails and pretend to be your bank, your senior aunt asking you for money. All these things, do not fall for it. There are different types of scams. Some are more sophisticated than others. But I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to Miss Joyce Ann. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Even with the email addresses, you have to be so careful. I think one recently from that we're trying to scam Cayman National customers, the email address was so close. They spelled national with two I's.
Yeah.
So if you look at it,
sometimes,
right, if you just glance at it, it seems like it was legit because it said CaymanNational.com, but it had two I's in Cayman National. So you have to really be careful.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll get an email and it will be a legit person from the bank, but because I've never spoken to that person before, I call the bank and I'm like, does this person actually work for you? And just confirm it. It's better to be overly cautious than to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, you've got it. You do have to pay attention. I mean, they will get these fake accounts, fake domains and stuff like that very, very close to the number. So this is their job. Some are more professional than others, but scamming people is what they do for a living. So you've got to be smarter than the scammers. And in this case, I don't know how my card would have gotten compromised. I do use it a lot. And whenever I have the option of using PayPal, I do try to use PayPal because, like I said, that puts that layer of protection. In this case, somebody got a hold of my card, only God knows, and they're doing transactions, in the UK, which is kind of interesting, I guess, through these websites and whatever. Doesn't mean that they're physically there, but at least all of the websites so far that they've been using are UK-based businesses. Now listen to what happened to Miss Joyce Ann. As I'm listening to her story, I'm like, that's not PayPal. First of all, if you ever tried to call PayPal, that is like trying to call somebody at Amazon. Not Amazon, they're easy to reach. At Facebook. You can't reach nobody at Facebook support. They don't exist. They live in some hole in the wall, honey child. So the mistake that she made is she went to Google and said PayPal's phone number or something like that. Instead, what she needed to do, she needed to log into her PayPal account. Then look at the option to contact us. Let me show y'all something here, honey child. Look, And I'm going to show you why it was obvious she was not talking to PayPal from the second she said that. I'm like, you know how hard it is to reach PayPal? I've tried. You ain't talking to them, honey child. So when you click on contact us, You see any phone number there? All these options first. Oh, do this, do that. Did this happen? That they don't really want you to call them. Some companies are not big on calling. Ask the community. The final one is to call us. And I bet you, if we were to check, and even now they're still not giving you a phone number, it's in fine print, right? Then they give you a one-time passcode that expires after 10 minutes because they're big on security. They know the time of day it is. They would rather you message them during their customer service hours. Miss Joyce Ann, what phone number did you actually call? I know it wasn't this number. So this is PayPal's number. You see how small they make it? You can barely even see it. Then they give you a one-time passcode that when you call that number, you have to enter it because they want to make sure it is you. They're protecting themselves from fraud as well. So if you call them and you don't put in this one-time passcode, you can't get through anywhere. All right? Now, here's the other thing that you've got to be cautious of. So what happens is when you go on these websites and you type in PayPal phone number, you will get fake websites. And a lot of them are potentially scammers. So if it says up at the top, sponsored and whatever, those are scammers who want you to click on it. And they do it with big companies. So I would not be surprised that PayPal would be one of them. They do it with like Microsoft. So you trying to, I need Microsoft support. You call, I need, this support number, that support number. That is not who you're actually reaching. They've set up fake accounts, fake phone numbers, the whole 9 yards so that you reach out to them. Good morning.
Hey, it could be. And that's why I got back to them because I sent an email and they did respond. So the thing is though, with it, it could have happened because that's where I got it. I went and I Googled it, like you said. So you onto it. But at least when I realized my money wasn't taken as yet, I called the bank. They did nothing. Royal Bank did nothing, because I'm saying, okay, I might have made a mistake. I don't know if it's PayPal, so let me get my money out. And good thing that I thought, that I have another account and I transfer that. So my problem was that like I said, my employees went in and did another deposit in there. Because what happened if you don't have the funds? It would just say the funds, so they couldn't get the money. So I transferred it, but my employees went and deposit. I wasn't even thinking because I'm on the phone, because I saw the information they had went through Chase. I called Chase. They said they couldn't give me that account that it went in because I wasn't the holder. My bank need to reach out to them. And so I was back and forth. Later in the day, now I went to make sure to see if they had really tried to move it. When I saw, lo and behold, they had gotten money. They had gotten my money because they had did a deposit. And the first of the month I get rents coming in and you know what I mean? So they were just on the ball. And what I'm saying, if the bank had assist me, the bank should assist me because I called them before anything happened. I tell them what happened to me, right? So they didn't assist me. And that's the problem too. So yeah, I probably did. Like you said, I did go on Google. I got that number there. And that's where it happens. Alrighty. But I tried to get to the bank. So you was right. Yes.
Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome.
All right. So yes, I mean, again, this is, like I said, things happen, right? Very few of us will probably go through our lives and not be compromised at some point in time. It's how quickly you can stop it and how quickly you can recover. So somebody in the comment section said that one of the local banks, by the way, for point of clarification, the person who said that it took forever to get their bank card back, it was not Scotiabank, it was FCIB. And they said it took months. So I don't know why any bank, would take months to be able to get you a card back, replacement card. So yeah, they said it was FCIB. FCIB, get your act together. Morning, caller.
Good morning.
Hi.
Sandy, tell them don't cry. I cried last night. They cleaned me out.
Oh, geez.
And I tell you how I got it. I live near to the bank. So I went down early on before the street get busy. and I go to the cash machine. When I got there, I see a guy standing there with about 50 cards. He was at number 1. He said number 4 is not working, so I go to number 2. Sandy, I card in, put in the PIN number, and I lean one side to make sure he don't see what I'm doing. After I do that, Sandy, I press, I see the balance, I know how much I was taking out. When I press, the money counted. And when I feel, because you know your card have to come out before you pick up the cash. Sandy, where the card to come out making a lot of noise. And when I feel no card. Then after that happened to me, I said, I'm not coming home. No pajama, bed slippers. I'm not coming home. I'm waiting until the bank open 9 o'clock. One lady said to me, you have your ID. I think the lady know me. I said, no. She said, it doesn't make sense, you wait. Anyway, I just hiss my teeth and I come up. But before I leave there, there's another guy come on asking me if because they're going to put the card in. So I barred them. I said, no, don't put your card in there. The machine not working. Sunday, he asked me if I want money to buy anything. I tell him no. He said if I want a cup of tea. I said no. But it looked to me like both of them was in the scamming business. It looked like they were putting something on the machine.
Yes, well, they do that so they can copy your card details. And this is another reason why you need to be very careful when you're using your machine. Card.
The worst part of it, listen to this one. When I came home, I called the bank and tell them what happened. It seems to me like they did not block my card. They sent a message saying that I'll get my card between 5 to 7 working days. I sit here waiting on the card to come. When I get a message on my phone saying that there's no money in my account to pay my bills, them, my rent or nothing. Nothing at all. Like money going today, it come out the same day. When they tell me at the bank, so they put me onto the fraud people and they explain to me, Sandy, I cried. I couldn't believe it. But they put it back. They give it back to me. Sandy, it is not nice. They're all over. But look where they gone now. Cayman. They leave all from England and gone to Cayman. Even the company right now, I don't even order anything more on the site. I'm so scared. If I want to draw money, I wait till the bank open and go inside to the cash machine. I'm not using them outside no more. I'm too scared. It's terrible. And it's all over. And it's worse on this side, baby. It is worse on this side. They're even using the company where you pay your electric bill, where you pay your water bill. They're sending message because they want you to open that link. You understand? So when they come up, I don't even part on them. Anyway, you all take care and be careful at home.
Yes,
you all be careful. Keep eyes open, babes.
Yeah. Yes. All right. And she lives in the UK, so you know, honey child, it's happening all over the world. You just got to be smarter. Cayman Brack says CIBC, First Caribbean, has a security feature that you can lock your card. It works great. I think that's a wonderful idea. And I hope the other banks are listening this morning, because I think it would be good if you had an option of being able to block your card. The other thing is CNB. Listen, I love the app. I love you guys that you rolled it out for businesses. You know, most of the time it works. There's a little bit of an outage the other day. These things are man-made. Things happen. What y'all need to do now, though, is you need to go to the next level and make sure that we can do messaging from the app itself as well. So I should be able to message the fraud department. I had to try and go look on my computer. Of course, I know I can call them and get a live person, but, you know, I go and look on my computer to see if I can find, I'm going to pause calls for just a second, because otherwise I don't think we're going to get too far in the conversation today. But I was going to say that, you know, if you can pause your cards or block them entirely, even to then be able to reach out to the bank, like you see that first transaction attempting, that would be good. There's a system too. I'm trying to remember where I've seen that, where you get the notification on your phone and then you authorize it. Like you have the ability to say, yes, authorize this transaction. Can't remember where I've seen that, but y'all not gonna keep calling. Stop calling if I don't answer the phone. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How you doing today, Anna?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah. Oh, listen to the conversation. Very interesting. What I got to say about it is, I think the bank should be 100% responsible for your money
What?
because they're listen to me. I know it's something over the age. What I'm thinking, but they invest your money. They make profit off of your money. They handle all of your money. Yet when it gets stolen through cyber or anybody else through fraud, credit card fraud or debit card fraud, whatever, they hold no responsible. They're supposed to have investigate bank.
Well, I don't know who you bank with, but there is a process with, I would say, all commercial banks where once you indicate to the bank that you did not make the transaction, I just filled out the form with CNB last night and submitted it. They then launch an investigation. So there's a credit card dispute form that I'm sure you have to fill out. So it's not that they can just do it on their own. You tell them, nope, that wasn't me. It wasn't a transaction. They have a whole list of reasons here that you can indicate as to why it was not you. And then they will begin the investigative process and actually get you your money back. So I think y'all need a bank with better banks. That might be the bottom line.
So how successful? I mean, I know what you're saying is true.
CNB is going to return the money. I mean, they're going to do the investigation.
They're going to return the money.
Yeah, because what they do is they reach out to the merchant because it appears that this could very well be a legitimate merchant. So they're going to do what's called a chargeback against the merchant.
It should.
Which means that, the merchant ultimately, this bullion by post, they're going to be responsible because they also have some responsibility here, and that they can't just be allowing online transactions without verifying information. But leave me there, caller. I appreciate it.
Okay.
The banks will sort it out for you. Don't worry.
You say you had you say you got a problem with your foot, but you got a healed spur.
No. It's a whole. Yeah, it's a whole.
Okay, no, I was telling you that healing oil is good.
Yeah,
it's good for that healing.
I'm still looking for the miracle oil, but I don't find it yet. Thank you, Mr. Dean.
Try that healing oil. Okay.
All right, my dear. So listen, there is a dispute form. So if this happens to you, make sure you contact your bank. They will email you the dispute form. I'm trying to get my $398.61 back. So I've submitted it, and they will go through the process now of contacting bullion by post. These companies themselves need to have better processes as well. So everything falls on, apparently this is a company where the UK's #1 online gold bullion company. They don't even really sound all that legit themselves. And Center City Tower, floor 16, where apparently you can go online and buy gold bars and all kind of foolishness, right? So I bet that they don't have a complex way of, anyone reaching them to, let me see. I'm going to try calling them actually. How do you dial UK numbers again? I haven't called one in a minute. It's 011-441. Let's try calling them. So they themselves need to have better security measures to make sure that it's actually whoever they're purporting to be using the card. And a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't. So now they're going to lose that money. That's going to be a charge back. So, they will become victims of the fraud as well.
Thank you for calling Bullion by Post, the UK's #1 online bullion dealer. Please note, all calls are recorded for training to improve our customer service experience and for fraud prevention.
Oh, fraud
Please
prevention.
Hold, and we will be with you as soon as possible.
All right, let's try and see. Since they claim fraud prevention. I bet you can order real easy on their website. Nothing to it. Remember back in the day when you couldn't even use your Keyman issued cards online because they were like, nope, we're not taking a chance. This is one of the reasons why. Because these fraudsters are out there using people's cards and it's not them.
Thank you for calling Bullion by Post, the UK's #1 online bullion dealer. Please hold, and we will be with you as soon as possible.
All righty.
To be put through to our answering service, please press star.
All right. Meantime, let me tell you, ironically, I was in the process of ordering a part for my stovetop from this company. Samsung is the manufacturer, but unfortunately their part is on back order. So I found another online vendor that has the part available. I ordered online, put in my information. You know, they contacted me on Friday and said, we're not so sure this is you because this is a card issued outside the US. And so therefore, we need to verify your ID. I didn't see that email.
Thank you for continuing to
Unfortunately,
hold.
on Friday.
All our customer service advisors are
so they
busy
canceled
helping
my
other
transaction.
customers. To
Here's
be
what
put
it
through
says.
to our answering service, please press star.
They'll probably never answer. Thank you for the order. We noticed that this is your first time with us, and because of the international payment on the order, we need to verify some of your information before we're able to ship this order. In order to release the order, please send us a copy of your ID that shows that you're the card holder for the card used to place the order, and any other documentation that would help verify that you're the card holder. I didn't see it on Friday. Apparently on Saturday, they sent another email basically saying they had canceled it and they will issue a full refund to the card. It's going to take 2 weeks. Don't know why it's taking 2 weeks, but whatever, to be credited back. And so once I saw that email, I was like, what? You canceled my order? So I reached out to them yesterday. I got on their website, went to customer support. And I said, how do I get this order in? Because I need this part. And they said to me, right, you need to send us passport, any government issued ID. And then you can replace the order. So, you know, there's certain types of businesses, all businesses, I should say, really, that have an online presence. They themselves must take some responsibility for trying to do things a particular way. You know, I'm trying to call these people, and I doubt they'll ever answer the phone in the UK. But I would like to know what their procedure is for accepting online payments. Anybody can just go online and use a credit card to order gold coins and silver coins and then gold and silver bars. Given the nature of what they do, you would think that there would be a much more secure process.
All our customer service advisors are busy helping other customers. To be put through to our answering service, please press star.
KK says, thankfully, you can replace the cards ASAP, but apparently not if you're with FCIB. They're going to take a couple months. Well, Kman Trini says, when Trinidad, it was the worst customer service and fraud detection we've ever. I have to respectfully disagree with you. This on hold music is so annoying. Hold on.
Good afternoon, Bullion by Post. Just speaking to Ellie. How can I help you?
Yes, hi, Ellie. My name is Sandra Hill. I'm calling from the Cayman Islands. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Yes, very good. I had someone yesterday evening utilize my debit card in the Cayman Islands to do a fraudulent transaction on your website. And I wonder if you're aware, or maybe the security department is aware of, or you can inform us of what procedures you have in place to verify the identity of people who are placing orders on your website.
Okay, so what procedures do we have in place to verify?
A person's identification, because someone somehow got a hold of my debit card and used it successfully to purchase almost $400 Cayman dollars worth of I don't know exactly what they bought, but you know, my bank is dealing with that part of it. But I'm just curious, as a vendor, what you guys do to, you know, try to protect people from having their cards fraudulently used on your website.
Of course. And your name was Sandra Hill, so is that SANDRA and then HILL?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. The team that you require are busy at the moment with clients. I can take a couple of details and arrange for a call back, because I wouldn't be able to tell you myself, unfortunately.
Okay.
What was the best telephone to reach you on?
345 936. Yep. 936 2626.
2626. And best time to call back, is that just
any time is fine.
Of course. So did you want to leave an email address just in case we can't get through?
No, I would prefer that they call.
Okay. No worries. I'll get that passed through for you now, and so we'll be in touch with you as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much.
All right.
All right. So we'll see if they ever call back, but I am curious to know, exactly how that works. Thank you, Miss Lisa. So no, I mean, listen, I am well aware that CNB, in my personal opinion, has got the best fraud prevention on island by far. And they've saved me lots and lots of times, but this time, they said, oh yeah, we were still going through transactions, blah, blah, blah. Because if I've never ordered anything from Bullion by Post before, any of these UK companies, I don't order stuff from UK companies. So that alone should have flagged the system that this would be very unusual activity for her. And based on the timing of the text messages, whoever was using it was like, bam, bam, bam. The 5 transactions were tried, in quick succession. At what time was that? 5:29 p.m. Yeah. So it should have flagged, but whatever. Like I said, sometimes these things happen. So, yep. Anywho, okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any issues when online companies say, no, we need to verify your ID, send this. I don't have any problems with that because they're protecting consumers when they themselves have additional layers. But to Mr. Dean's point, the bank will go through and they'll do their process. I think some banks are a little bit more, on the ball than others. So, all right. This person said, remember England shut down for lunch. They're out at the pubs drinking. Oh, Lord have mercy. Good morning, caller. Hello? Hello? Okay, remember we're on air. All right, this one says this fraud was, oh, really? Okay, so this person's not happy. They said that their thing did not get sorted out. They went on for a long time with RCAPS and CNB and being given the runaround. I even did my own research and gave them information to contact the thieves. They didn't even make a move to follow up with their lead. You know how I got the money returned and settled? Mr. Orman Williams, the then head of CNB, so this was a while ago, I discussed the matter with him and he said he had his fraud team forward all the details to him. And we got our satisfaction through him. He believed me and saw the anguish anguish understandably. This was such a frustrating and painful experience. And to this day, he has my utmost gratitude. This fraud was someone topping up some Digicel phone cards over a few months. Unfortunately, this account wasn't being monitored and statements were only sent periodically. So this is the other thing. Now that we have, because that would have been quite a while ago, folks, now that we have online banking, several suggestions, okay? Do not have a debit card linked to an account that you do not monitor. So this person said, they weren't really monitoring this account, whatever. Have that be, I don't know how many debit cards y'all need or how many bank cards y'all need. Link it to a primary account that you have access to. Otherwise, have no debit card linked to it. So if you have a savings account, right, that you just want to be able to save and put money in, don't have that linked to debit card. That doesn't make any sense. Like I said, this particular account, I purposely keep as little money in there as possible. Whenever I know I'm going to go use this card, which I'm not going to cut up today, I put money in and use it right away. And the bank can see that I do that. So if I'm going to place an Amazon order, $200, I transfer $250. Do the transaction, use the money, bam, that's it. So be very, very careful with debit cards just hanging around the place that you have linked to an account that you don't use. Because scammers, once they start, they'll drain if they realize, oh, wow, I can keep using it. That happened over months. Unfortunately, they'll keep using it. So this person says it was a credit card. Actually, no, it was a savings account with a debit card. That's what, yeah. And so that's a problem. But of course, when it happens, you do want to know that banks are going to be more on the ball than some of them are. I'm a little bit surprised, like I said, because I have always had, pretty good response. In fact, excellent response from CNB. In fact, there are times when they have preemptively called me and said, listen, we know that TJ Maxx has been compromised, and we noticed that your card has been used by that corporate entity. Because remember, they own like Marshalls, TJ Maxx, there's a whole slew of them, right? And so we're going to preemptively cancel all these cards, although they haven't yet been compromised. They were in that database. We're going to cancel all those cards and reissue them. This was years ago. But they did that, and I didn't even know anything about it. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. And so they're like, we'll tell you when you can come pick up your debit card. Irvin says, please don't keep all your money in one place. Transfer what you need to use. Yep. When I use my Monzo card, UK bank card, I have to authorize the transaction. Yeah, I feel like I've seen it somewhere else here as well. I don't know if any banks in Cayman really do, but I've definitely seen it. And I think that that's a fantastic idea. And hopefully the technology in Cayman will catch up with the rest of the world. Inspiring says, also keep an eye on your card or request for portable payment devices when possible. Stay safe out there. Christmas time, you guys are traveling now. You're going to be going overseas, using your card in all these different places. So be careful using your cards at ATM machines, at gas stations and stuff, because they put the little skimmer devices on there and they will copy your card details. Now, some banks now have, and I know CNB has the ATM machines here, where you don't stick the card in the slot, you just tap it. So for those of you who have the tap feature, I don't know the answer definitively to this, but I feel like the tap feature is safer because I don't know that they can copy that RFID, right? So I do feel like that's safer being able to tap it. But someone who might know better can certainly, let me know how that works, because I don't know that for certain, but I do kind of feel like it would be harder for them to copy that. However, even your wallets, you travel with wallets, your passport holders and stuff, make sure that they have the RFID protection on there, which means that when you have your card in there, they can't scan it from close by. I guess they have scanning devices where they can pick up. So that blocks those RFID scanners. And a lot of wallets now have that protection built in, right? Mm-hmm. So we got to do what we can really to protect ourselves. So be very, very careful when you're looking at phone numbers. You know who else is doing this, a similar thing with the scamming website? Remember when Jamaica implemented the electronic customs and whatever entry form, their customs control? Remember there was some website that was pretending to be them. And so now when you go search for Jamaica entry, visa, whatever it's called, customs waiver, that was the first one that was showing up, and it was a fraudulent site. And the Jamaican government had to issue a statement about that saying, listen, this isn't us, because then they had you fill out a fake looking form, submit a payment, and they were stealing people's money. Listen, these scammers, they're working hard for their money. Good, Jerry, me too. Jerry says, good morning, Sandy. I only move money to my debit card when I need to use it. Otherwise, my card has gas money on it. Not even gas money, honey, Gia. Let me say this as well. If you have a credit card, this is one of the benefits of having a credit card, is that you do get greater protection with like MasterCard, Visa, with a credit card, right? Not to say that you can't get your money back with a debit card, but there are greater protections built into the credit card system. So when you travel, try to, and as much as I'm kind of anti-credit cards in a way, because most of us don't know how to handle the debt that comes with that. You think it's free money and you're paying such incredible interest. Try to use your credit cards when you travel sparingly and only what you can afford to use, because you do have that added protection. Plus, you tend to get like travel protection and other stuff as well. So having said that, yeah, it's definitely challenging. Notify your banks when you travel so that they can put a little notation on the system. I always tell them, they know I'm traveling from this date to this date. This is where I'm going to be. I even used to tell them, honey child, I'm going to Walmart. I'm going to Target. These are my usual haunting spots. So don't be trying to block nothing if you see a Walmart transaction come up, because I got to stock up on my toiletries or whatever. Waking Up the Cayman Islands says, yes, they're all over the UK. She's telling the truth. There are Indians and Nigerians and some Filipinos. Here, they give you your money back. So, yeah, I mean, they work. And it's so crazy because the owners of these businesses, they make a lot of money. And then the little guys who are sitting there making the phone calls, whatever, they're making like whatever minimum wages in their countries. Like they're at the bottom of the poll. But I guess it's better than a legit job where they might not even be able to find in their countries or making even less. So, they're scamming people, and it's a business for them, and it's quite unfortunate. And they will always be there, I can assure you. All right, let's move on. So I can finally say that I got scammed. I was scammed once before, but not in this way. Like I fell for a company, Chinese people, of course, sorry to say, that I thought was legit, and they weren't. I was trying to order some supplies way back when, and what they were advertising was not what you got. Reggae Rocket says, my advice, number one, debit card is your money. Credit card is the bank's money. This is what I was just saying. Good point. The bank protects their money, not yours. So credit card offers more protection. It does, but you can also do a chargeback even on a debit card. Alicia says, hi, I blocked all international transactions on my CIBC account. Have to get my authorization before proceeding. So CIBC allows you to, is that in their app? I feel like these banks need to get together. I mean, they're all part of the banking association. So they do need to get together and, work on that a little bit. Lucky Body says, when my CNB card was compromised in Dubai, I managed to receive my replacement card within a week. Best bank in Cayman, definitely. Yeah, man, they're quick on the money. My best experience, says Reggae Rocket, was someone running out my card for $300 US worth of KFC overseas. Oh my God. Which country was that? And $400 in gas? Bank called me to verify after $1,000 spent in an hour. $300 worth of KFC. They must have been feeding the whole town, honey child. That's a lot of KFC. What the heck? Yes, they were hungry. They were like, all scammers, come and get your lunch on this card. Oh my God. Shaka Zulu says, yes, certainly. I would always recommend anyone that have a credit card to use it instead of a debit card. Blackberry says, wallets, purses, and even handbags now have the RFID security, or you could purchase the card separately and insert it into your bag wallet. Yes. Even phone cases now have an element of it as well to offer some protection. Carol says, CNB did nothing. You check scanners, got in my account via my login and change my device to receive text, then the entire account, CNB did not check anything. When did this happen, Miss Carol? I'm curious to know when that was. I mean, it's a full-time department and then some. Carol says, I'm the 47th person to have their CNB bank account emptied in 2 weeks. Yet CNB puts nothing in place to stop this. All right, well, let's reach out to CNB. I'm going to email them. And is this recent? Like, if you can give me a time frame, that would certainly be helpful information as well. I think if this department is overwhelmed, listen, as much as I'm all for having Caymanians jobs, you all better get that Trinity team back on the job, because trust me, they were quick. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandy. Since you're on the topic of scamming, I'm going to give you a little story about my wife back in Canada. She was having difficulties with her computer, and she's up in age now. You know, she's 83 years old. And at the time, she was probably, it was about 5 years ago. She was having some difficulties with her computer. So this voice came on, and they were pretending they were going to help her. And she was ready to give them all of this information, her password. And I jerked the computer out of her hand. And I said, don't ever do that again, because I'll smash this computer, because that is scammers. And they tried it on me. And I said, you know what? I am not giving you any information. Why? I said, I don't trust you. I don't know who you are. So the next day we went to a computer place, which is very good in Thetford Mines. And my wife had 65 different viruses. I didn't even hear about what type of viruses were before, but 65. And finally, the guy said, the guy that was so good with the computer, he says, within the last couple of days, did you get something from these people? Yeah. He says, here it is. He gave us the name of the virus that they could have got into her account, her banking information. She was fit to be tied, because I jerked the phone out, jerked the computer out of her hand to save her. You know, so what these people are doing, no matter, she's been a bank manager, she's an accountant, she's been a home economic teacher, qualification from the best universities in Canada. But when you get to a certain age, you do not know anything about the technology. Do not take any chances. That's my advice, because they target senior citizens.
Absolutely, because they're easy prey, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Dexter. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And this is a good lesson for all of us, that if you have seniors in your life, make sure that you look out for those people, because they are the most vulnerable people indeed. Without a doubt. Kim and Bracker says, why do they scam and steal people mortgage? Oh my God, Kim and Bracker, we wish. Trust me, we'd give them all of our mortgage debt. They're not interested in paying that. Ms. Carroll said this was last Friday. They took everything. So what is being done now at CNB, Ms. Carroll? I'd like to know. By the way, someone sent me a private message saying, good morning, Sandy. Both CNB and FCIB have online authorization requests for Visa debit cards. So I need to ask about that, because I wasn't aware that CNB had it. And online, is that through the mobile app, or how is that done? Carol says they should have verified the change of device being requested. I don't know what change of device means, but also when such a large something, I can't make out what that word is, instruction comes in, there could verify that too. No red flags, and their banking system as ought to be. Somebody said, Shaka Zulu said, no banking system is 100% capable of 100% prevention. And that's true. Without a doubt. I mean, I guess the banking world would come to halt if they were. But Ms. Carroll, I'd like to hear more about that, because obviously, hopefully CNB is working on this for you. All right, let's move on to another topic. I want to give somebody a big shout out here today. Lavana says we have to go back to the old days. Keep your money home at this point. Yeah, you don't want to do that either, because then the robbers are coming and robbing you. So that's not even safe. So, I'm not a person that walks around with money. I tell you guys this all the time. A lot of times, I don't go to the grocery store that often, but when I do go, I feel so bad because I never have cash on me to be able to tip the people. So just the other day, I was at the grocery store on Friday, and I said to the cashier, "Do you guys give cash back?" That goes to show you how little I deal with cash. She said, "No." And I said, "Oh, I want to tip this young lady, but I don't have any cash." So she said I could buy a gift card, a Foster's gift card, and then they'll add that onto my bill and give her the gift card. So I was like, oh, okay. Had never thought that was an option, but there you go. Good morning, caller. Uh-oh. Caller, I was coming to you, honey child. Is my number toll free yet, Ronaldo? Is it toll free? Let me message him, because then y'all don't have to be hanging out.
I'm sorry, but the person you have called is unavailable.
All right. Let me see. I don't know yet if it is. I'm going to ask. All right, because then y'all don't have to hang up if you're calling from Flo. Calling number 936-2626. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Sunday.
How are you?
It's not too bad.
Good.
So I hit cut it off. I thought you were going to switch into the subject, so I didn't know that.
Oh, no. We can wrap this up. Then I'm going to do a little shout out and some birthday greetings. Go ahead, honey chill.
But I can tell you, and just before the pandemic, in what it was
2020, yes.
Yeah. Well, in my business, right, what I get, it's a form, a real serious form of scamming. Oh. I don't know, you mightn't get it in yours because, your type of business.
Yeah.
But we're in the transportation business, and, you'll get these people. I got several requests, but this particular one, and this lady was very persistent. She sent me everything down to her driver's license and all the details that the bank would have wanted. But a little guy in there called Mr. Carlos. He came down from him and he told me, Mr. Yates, I'm going to tell you, if these things are charged back, you will be responsible. And it went on. She sent me about 2 or 3 credit cards. Well, one didn't go through, and another one went through. And they got $1,500 off of this, and it went up to like about $4,000. And I was supposed to send back some money to her. And when I heard it was going to, her son was somewhere. But a long story. She gave it a real story. But he came and he warned me. But I said, here's all the information. I sent it to the bank. I sent it to him. I said, see here, this is what you sent me. Come to find out, that was completely fraud. One day, a lady called me from the bank. A nice lady called me. She said, "Yes, you had to hold you for that $4,000. This isn't. I got to hold you for this $4,000."
Yeah, because that's another form of scamming. And the other end is people sometimes they use their own credit card, get services or goods, and then they make up a story and do a charge back and lie on the vendor. So even if you're a business owner, you're at risk too.
Yeah, you got the story that they said another interpreter and they need you to pay for the interpreter or something because they can only draw one time. And it's handy to cover that story. I just say my bank refuses to do anything like that.
Yeah.
To take it from there. But you know what happened was it went on and she said, well, I can't do anything more now because MasterCard has got into it. And MasterCard is on us, so I will have to debit your account. So to debit my U.S. saving account for the company, for the business.
Oh my God.
And it went on till it was paid up. Then one day I just went and I saw that the $4,000 close to in the pandemic, it was shifted from the debit side. It was there, all the money I was putting in was just going towards that. And then one day it shifted into my account, so I got back about, I don't know, but she got about $1,200 we sent back to her. 12 or 15, I don't remember. We spent days trying to sort it out for her. But I come to find out that they're all, you got to watch them, especially in the business that you know, and I don't know about anything else, but I know the transportation business.
Yeah.
I get requests all the time for it, so you got to watch for it.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate it.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
Years ago, and CNB, not CNB. You know, I've been banking with CNB. March on is 50 years. And I didn't realize until about a year ago, one of my drivers said to me, you say, you know, Kim on National, because he got a business machine, you know, so that we can collect on the way. Right. Know, taxes. Everybody wants to pay by card now. Anyway, he said to me, he said, Charlie, you can get, I said, man, all this time I've been banking there and asking them, and I got a statement on the credit card. He said, yes, go there and ask for the form, give it to him next day. Listen to me, before I walk out of the shop, most of the time I am notified of the money that was spent, who was spent with, how much it is. If you drive through, if you go through one of those ATM and check your balance, that they sent you a notice on that. You don't have to do anything other than, you know.
Yeah. No, and I mean, like I said, you got to talk to the bank and sign up for these things because, you know, it helps keep you informed.
Years, I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, that's why they say knowledge is power, honey child.
And it works. It works like a magic.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, darling.
Nobody gets scammed for Christmas.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning. Really quickly.
Sure.
I'm good, thanks. So I noticed that scammers are also trying to get at people via EK Trade. So people can be very careful with that. I had a situation where I have a couple rental properties, and someone reached out to me with an overseas number. And, you know, I went through the process with them, gave them whatever information about the property. And it came to the point where, you know, obviously the discussion about how do we pay you came up. And so I gave them viable options, secured options, not detailing any personal banking information. And the individual proceeds to ask for my ID. Obviously, at that point, it's like, this is extremely odd, very unusual request. So I guess if someone isn't alert to certain, you know, seemingly innocent kind of request, especially if you know you're in an online conversation, you might go ahead and just give them what they're asking for, not realizing that that's not how, you know, international wires really work, you know. So just be mindful, you know, a message to the Cayman people, just be mindful of anybody contacting you through EK Trade.
Thank you, Colin.
All right. Thank you.
My dear. Yeah, I mean, it's all over, folks. You just got to, you got to be careful. So yeah, the previous caller, you know, he's a business owner, and there are people who are looking to scam business owners. Like, they know they did the transaction, they got the service, they got the goods, and then, you know, they'll do a chargeback, which I must say, knock on wood, in all of my years of having card machines, I never had a single chargeback, not a single dispute. But you know, you have to do things to protect yourselves as well. When you do online transactions, they can come back and claim it wasn't them. So ask for identification, make sure that you know who you're dealing with and that is not a fraudulent person. And if you've requested ID as part of your verification process, you're less likely to have a chargeback against the charges. So chargeback is basically what I'm doing now on the opposite end as a consumer to say, hey, that wasn't me. I didn't make those charges. And they'll do a little mini investigation and get me my money back. But there are people who will sit here and claim it wasn't them, and it was them. Now, to the credit of Visa Caribbean, you know, a couple months ago, we did a story on this where all the local banks, but I think CNB was the first to notify their customers that this was coming down the pipeline. You can no longer use their card machines to do a manual entry. So if you had a business where people could call you and order something and you'd manually put in the card, Visa, not the banks, Visa stopped that for Visa Caribbean because there was too much fraud happening with it. So they said, nope, we're not going to allow you to manually process a transaction anymore. So there you go, honey child. All right, let me do a big shout out. So I was telling you guys yesterday, I actually went and did a tooth extraction. So the gum around this tooth has been bothering me for months now. And I remember in the summer, I went to see Dr. Tom and I said to Dr. Tom, you know, after I did one of my cleanings, I'm like, there's sensitivity in this area. I don't really know what's going on. So he did an x-ray, he looked at it and he's like, oh, well, you know, I don't really see anything. Maybe it's just a situation where you are, you know, maybe something got stuck in the gums, you ate something, and so it's just irritated. So just, you know, keep flossing it properly and whatever. I was like, okay. So it continued. And I thought to myself, this doesn't feel right. At one point, I had an abscess. I went back to him, got antibiotics. It cleared that up. Then when I was away, I haven't been eating on this side. You know, sometimes your body compensates for pain and stuff, and you don't realize, like, you start to lean one direction or do really weird stuff, and you don't even realize what's going on, right? Until it becomes chronic or whatever. And so I hadn't been eating on this side because it's the wisdom tooth, like all the way in the back, on the back left. So I would compensate by just chewing on one side, basically. But the occasional time I would chew on this side, I was like, oh my God, that hurts. So when I came back, I messaged Keyman Dental. That's my dentist. And I said, you know, listen, I've been going to them forever, from when they were in Merco Center, way back when. I said, listen, something's wrong here. This isn't getting any better. It's been a couple months. I keep flossing. There are times when it might feel a little bit better, but it's always a dull pain. I'm like, something's not feeling right. And let me tell you something, as a word of warning, don't mess with toothaches and tooth pain, you know, because if you have an infection in a tooth, okay, take this seriously now, folks, bit of health advice. That means there's an infection in your head, close to your nasal cavities and your brain. There have been people who have died, not trying to exaggerate and scare y'all, but there have been people who have died from a toothache because that infection then gets into the brain and it kills them. I'm just telling y'all, don't take it lightly. When you start to have jaw pain or mouth pain, try to figure out exactly what is going on in your mouth. There's bacteria in your mouth. In fact, your mouth is one of the most bacteria-filled places. You'd be surprised what's in your mouth. All kind of bacteria. Some of it good, a lot of it not so good. Anywho, I emailed good old Miss Winnie and I said, Miss Winnie, I said, listen, I need to come in because something just not right here with this tooth. This area is still inflamed. I don't feel like it's getting any better. I'm flossing it. I'm irrigating it. It's just no. So anyway, I went in last week and I saw Dr. Tom wasn't available. So I saw another young lady, another dentist there. She was really, really nice. And she looked at it and she said, I'm going to be honest with you, from the x-ray that we have here from June, because this is how long I've been complaining about this tooth. She's like, I see something on here that I don't quite like. It looks like there's something very unusual going on with the tooth. And I said, really? Well, Dr. Tom didn't see that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, really? She said, yep. She said, this tooth, we can do heroic stuff to try to save it. Root canal, this, that, whatever, all this stuff. But she said, in the end, it may still not be salvageable. And then you would have spent tons of money on the tooth. Now, listen, priority, if it's a front tooth that you can see, then yeah, those are the teeth that you save, right? So you pull out all the stops, you do root canals, you do whatever to try to save those teeth. A molar, all the way in the back, not so much so. So she said to me, we can do more x-rays, we can do this, we can do that. And I was like, I'm like, okay. So it sounds like we need to do a tooth extraction, yes? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I would probably recommend that because, again, we can do all of those things and it's still not working. I've done that before. I've had a tooth that was root canal treated twice and it just didn't work. And so they eventually had to take the tooth out, right? So I said, all right, how do we go about tooth extraction? So she said, there's a young lady here who is phenomenal with extracting teeth. And I thought to myself, how can you be phenomenal with extracting teeth? I said, okay. So I went and got her business card and I looked at it, and she had a lot of letters after her name, a lot of letters. And that in the medical profession means that you are even more qualified. I'm just saying. So I thought, oh, okay. I don't know who this young lady is, but I'm like, this looks good. So I booked appointment. This is Friday. So I'm like, yeah, we got to take this out soon. Gave me antibiotics because let me tell y'all something now. Anytime you're having certain procedures done, root canals, extractions, normally there's an infection there. That's what's causing the pain. Okay. You need to get an antibiotics to bring that under control, bring those levels down to a manageable level. Anywho, made my appointment for yesterday. I go in. First time I'm seeing this young lady. By the way, she's expecting a baby. She's pregnant. I was like, are you sure you can handle an extraction being pregnant? And she was like, oh, yeah. She's like, it's not as taxing on me as you would think. I said, all right, honey child, I want you going into labor while you're trying to pull out a tooth. But anyhow, all right, let's do it. She did such a phenomenal job. Let me tell y'all something. First of all, she must have used 6 vials of whatever. I was telling her that reminded me of when I had gum surgery way back in the day. I forget that dentist's name. He passed away now. He used to come. He was a periodontist, and he would visit from Canada all the time. Poor thing died some years ago. But anyway, she was saying to me, it's a different one now that is much more effective as an injectable. But it warmed my heart when I found out that she's a Caymanian. Apparently, she worked in the hospital environment for 11 years. And so there's different type, when you're in the medical profession, there's different types of training that you can get, right? Hospitals can be the best because you see all sorts of patients from all walks of life, and it's high volume. Private practices are are a lot of times not as busy as like government hospitals and that sort of thing. So you get real training. So anyway, she's like, yep, she's seen a lot in her 11 years abroad. She studied in the UK, spent 11 years there working in the hospital system. And I hate to say it, but English people probably need the dentist more than anybody else. Don't get insulted, but it's true. And so, she made sure I was well numbless. She kept going back. Can you feel this? Can you feel this? And she said, oh, you have a very low threshold for pain, because at this point I've numbed you enough where you shouldn't be feeling this needle. The fact that you are means I'm going to be very, very cautious with you and make sure that you're fully numb. And I said, thank you, honey, chill. And she kept numbing me so I couldn't feel nothing else. And then she's like, okay, let's make sure that that's ready for us. When she took the tooth out, I didn't even know. I was like, she went in there, did a little something, and she got on this side and she went and did a little something again. And I was like, are you done? She's like, yeah, that's it. I was like, what? Unbelievable experience. I mean, I'm not recommending a tooth extraction, but if you have to get a tooth extraction done, please go check out Dr. Hannah Griffin. Phenomenal. And it warms my heart that she's a Caymanian. Congratulations, Dr. Hannah Griffin. Fantastic job. And I have had other tooth extractions right there, and I'm not knocking anybody else. And this is the best one that I've ever had. Seriously. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Mom.
Good morning.
This is Edward.
Hi.
I didn't know if I could call you back tomorrow morning because you're pretty much finished now. But it's not going to take long still. Okay. I've been submitted to Miss O'Connor since she left to go to England, those papers on McAllister's E-Bank's estate. And I also sent you a last set. And it also went through 2 excellencies of the governor. And their response is that, yes, they can't do anything about it unless you go back to court. But then none of those people are answering me, Miss Sandra. They won't see us. So I didn't know if I could speak to you off air after the show tomorrow.
I mean, my recommendation is going to be this. There are times that you have to go through a legal process, right?
Well,
there's certain types of, well, I mean, if you've exhausted all legal options and there's nothing else to do, it might mean that you just can't move forward any further, right? Based on the little that I know about your situation, no one is going to make a decision in your favor without a court case saying that you have to do X, Y, Z.
Well, this is why we're trying to get it back to court, but they don't want it to go back to court.
Who's they? Who doesn't want it to go
I
back
don't
to
know
court?
who the hell they are. If I knew, I could tell you, but I don't know. I've been trying all legal access to the system.
No, well, I mean,
and we had not got no response besides from Mr. Martin Roper and Her Excellency. Let me put it
this way. Those people don't help you take stuff to court. So I think you have to understand how the court process works, right? So they're not going to help you. I mean, they can't stop you from taking stuff to court, but they're also not going to help you with the process. So you just need to go find a lawyer. You need to find a lawyer that will take the case.
But this is two lawyers. This is two lawyers, and I don't know if these two lawyers under the politicians, why they're just reading the story that Kadas just put out that is rhetoric to this matter.
I mean, you have to just keep going. Cayman has more lawyers per square footage than Quaker has oats. So you just keep going. You might eventually find a lawyer that will take it. What you need, though, I don't know if he got cut off. I guess we don't have that toll-free number yet. Let me tell you something about the law, right? Sometimes lawyers won't take a case because they don't think it's winnable. They need to just tell you all that. Instead of pretending, and that's why I like Recover, Tiz will tell y'all. Some of y'all say, Sandy, I reached out to her and she told me blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, that means that the chances from her experience, and I'm not saying they're right 100% time, but from her experience, they don't believe that this is a winnable case. Doesn't mean that it isn't, but you need to keep looking and find yourself another lawyer. I am not a lawyer, folks. Newsflash. I have a law degree and I'm not a lawyer. So I'm not the person that can help you really with that part of it at all. All I can do is tell you to call a lawyer. And so you keep going. Now, there's some lawyers who will take your money knowing that you can't win a case and make you waste your money. See, I don't really have time for those kind of lawyers. I think, especially when it comes to like land disputes, civil disputes or whatever, you need someone who is going to be honest with you. And these lawyers have seen a lot and they know a lot. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you might be that 1 in a million case, but it's like this tooth. That might have been the 1 in a million tooth that we could have saved. But the dentist was like, I don't think so. 80%, 90%, you're going to lose. Think carefully on it. You might be the lucky one in that 10%, but chances are no. But that's a matter for you. And so you have to keep looking, and eventually you might find a lawyer who would be willing to kind of take their chances with you. But what I would say is just be careful. Okay, that's all I'm going to say is be careful with, if you've had 4 or 5 lawyers that said, nope, this case isn't winnable. These lawyers, they're not in with any politicians. That is highly unlikely. They're there to make money. And if they see that you can win a case and you can pay your bills, that's money in their pocket. That's how lawyers work. They're not too business with nothing else. They're about their money bag. Okay. And so if you see lawyers turning money down because they can't win, then, that might be some insight into, let me see. Somebody's asked me about the periodontist that used to come Cayman. I can get his name. I can't remember it right now, but I'll get his name. He actually died, sadly enough, traveling, I think from Cayman. I think he was going back to Canada and he dropped down in the airport and had a heart attack, poor thing. But many, many years ago, he did a procedure for me that, oh my God, my entire mouth. Oh, I forgot how many vials of lidocaine. And that was back in the day when they don't do the procedure like that anymore. Dr. Burton Siegel. Yes, Dr. Siegel. Thank you so much. I knew this person because she used to help him out when he came on island with accommodations and stuff. Dr. Siegel used to come to Cayman back in the day. So, yeah. All right. So listen, the other thing that I appreciated about Dr. Hannah yesterday is that, they give you your post-op stuff, what to do, what not to do. One of the things that she said, and I want y'all to listen very, very carefully to me. This is important stuff now, right? Well, she said, you know how we all get messages after tooth extraction, go and gargle salt water. She's like, don't do that. That's bad advice. She's like, you know, the number of people that have come to me in the emergency room with a dental situation that, you know, what have I done here? I've hit some button now on the computer. There we go. And she's like, right now, what you want this tooth to do is to clot, right? So the bleeding stops. And it should happen if you have a normal immune system, you're not a hemophiliac or any kind of clotting issues, you're not on blood thinners. A situation like this should clot pretty quickly. And that's a good sign you're on your way to healing. Okay. So even before you leave, they're going to take out that gauze. They don't want to see no gushing blood, or excuse the graphicness of this description, but they want to see that's already starting to clot. That's a very, very good sign. And mine did so immediately. So she's like, okay, looking good from that perspective. Here are the things that are likely to happen after tooth extraction, sorry. You know, obviously you're going to have site of extraction pain. So these are the pain meds that you need. You know, you can have soft things to eat today, soup, smoothie, whatever. So we went through all of those. No gargling, because that irritates, that irrigates or tries to irritate the area, and that will make it bleed. So you don't want to be swishing around, all kind of stuff. Then she started talking about Listerine. I was shocked to learn this little bit of information. So she said to me, the other thing is, in my experience, you know, having worked in a large patient environment, one of the things that I came across is there seems to be some sort of a connection between Listerine and alcohol-based mouthwashes and cancer. I was like, really? Never heard of this before. So she said, yeah. I said, wow. Okay, then. That's interesting. So let me tell y'all how incredibly ironic life is. So I said, okay, never heard of that. That's interesting. But y'all know me. I'm going to go away and research Honey Child. I'm like, I want to know more. I did not even have the opportunity to research. Last night, I was on the gram, minding my own business, you know, just doing my own thing. And I came across a video that shocked me. I mean, I literally could not believe it. Let me see if I can, hold on a second now. Let me see if I can share this with you guys. I'm going to try to download this. Hold on. So quite ironically enough, just randomly, I mean, this is where you got to believe in conspiracy theories, right? I'm like, wait a minute. Did this thing just spy on me? Like, how does it know that I had this conversation today? Well, it doesn't. But you know what I'm saying? Coinkydink. I saw this video that came up that talked about, hold on one second, talked about this link. Apparently, there has been research. Now, it's not cause and effect. So let me be very clear about what I'm about to tell you, right? So it's not at the stage where they're like, oh, yes, this causes this, and now we know. No, there is a correlation. Just like she said, I've treated a lot of patients, and I see patients with colorectal cancer, different types of cancers, and there is something amiss here. And I'm like, really? So hold on, I'm trying to download this link. It's not letting me download it. Hold on. All right, let me see if I can grab this real quick. So it seems that alcohol-based mouthwashes have some sort of impact on the type of bacteria that is actually in your mouth. But the problem is it goes from your mouth to your gut and other parts of your body. So, you know, there's a flow downwards. It's going to go through your gut, through your colon. Y'all know what your colon is. That's where the waste goes. And so there is evidence, and it's growing evidence, that shows that there is some sort of a link or correlation between people who use alcohol-based mouthwashes and colon cancers. Listen carefully. I'm going to show you all this video because I am a person who uses mouthwashes a lot, every single day, at least twice a day, maybe even more. I don't feel like my mouth is clean if I'm not using a mouthwash. It's not the mouthwash that's the problem. It's the fact that it is alcohol-based. Think about it for a second. I don't drink. I don't smoke. This is the first questions that they ask you when you even go in to do a tooth extraction. She said, do you smoke? Do you drink? Because those things impede your body's ability to heal properly, especially smoking. Smoking is one of the worst things you can do when it comes to like, okay, you need to have surgeries or whatever, because the level of oxygen that's in your body is compromised. You are a slow healer if you smoke. And y'all should know these things. I know a lot of y'all love to smoke, but it has a negative impact. And any surgeon will try to tell you if you're going in for surgical procedures to please try to quit or stop smoking, weeks ahead to bring up those levels in your body, because it means that your body will take longer to heal after anything, even a tooth extraction. And alcohol also matters. So listen to this.
Lawsuit against Listerine mouthwash for its implication in colorectal cancer. If you use Listerine mouthwash or have a friend who does, listen up. I'm Dr. Karen Zagian. I'm a board-certified colorectal surgeon. And earlier this year, I read about the very interesting article that made headlines about Fusobacterium species in the oral cavity being associated and increased in tumors of individuals with colorectal cancer. Now, this article made headlines, and I found it to be extremely interesting because Fusobacterium is really an oral bacteria, and why in the world would it be inside somebody's colon and inside a colorectal cancer? What really sparked the lawsuit, however, against Listerine is another publication that recently came out earlier this summer that suggested that individuals who used twice daily Listerine mouthwash actually had a higher rate of Fusobacterium species in their oral cavity. Now, as of now, this is all association data. We don't have causation. We don't have data that shows that individuals who use Listerine mouthwash are more likely to have colorectal cancer or that have a higher rate of colorectal cancer. Now, the class action suit suggests that Listerine does not warn against the use of its oral mouthwash and claims that it has all sorts of health benefits that are probably controversial. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think the class action suit is warranted, or do we need a little bit more data before we can jump to causation? Secondly, should Listerine add a warning label on their branded product about this potential risk?
Well, it's interesting. And there is data, and you guys can certainly go and have a look at this yourself. Daily use of Listerine mouthwash may increase risk of bacteria linked to cancer, a study found, and that was just earlier this year. So regularly gargling a product should be carefully considered to choose alcohol-free alternatives, says Belgian scientists. And so there are people reporting on this, and I'm going to actually find the source survey so that we can delve into this a little bit more. But I can tell you what, as of today, and I have a fresh bottle of Listerine that I just took out over the weekend, I am going to find alcohol-free alternatives. And in a way, when I start to think about it, I wouldn't have thought the amount of alcohol in these products would have been that significant. But I guess if you're using it, because it's not like I'm not drinking the Listerine, right? But I guess if you're using it multiple times a day, there is some degree of, it's changing the bacteria in your mouth. And that's what is the link. But you even think about people who drink alcohol, they have certain cancers that they're more likely to get and certain things that happens to their bodies. So very, very interesting information. Caller?
There's something else that you run the risk of, and that's having hypertension. And the reason for that is that when you use mouthwash with an antiseptic in it, that's really an antibacterial product. And fluoride in toothpaste is just a different form of antibacterial. And so when you use those products, you kill the good bacteria in your mouth along with the bad bacteria. The reason why that's important is because when you eat vegetables that contain nitrates, there is a species of good bacteria that break down those nitrates into nitrites. When you swallow those nitrites, your body uses that to create nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is used by your body to dilate your arteries. And unless you can properly dilate your arteries, you can't control your blood pressure. And so but think about what's happening. It's not just an antiseptic that you need to think about. They also talk about alcohol, right? Well, what is alcohol? Alcohol is pure sugar, been fermented. So when you have a mouthwash, you need to make sure that it's sugar-free. Why is that important? Because it's sugar in your mouth that promotes the growth of bacteria. It's food in your mouth that promotes the growth of bacteria. So this is what I've done. I've stopped using mouthwash altogether since last year. And as soon as you eat, I have one of those big water picks. Within a few minutes, you just wash all of the food out of your mouth. You floss right away so that there's no food to promote bacterial growth. If there's no food or no sugar in your mouth to promote bacteria, then you significantly reduce the chances of tooth decay. So in other words, what I'm seeking to do is to prevent the issue by not giving the bacteria an opportunity to grow in the first place. But if you look at the mouthwash, they'll tell you not to swallow it. Well, why wouldn't you want to swallow an antibacterial? Because 80% of your immune system is in your gut, which is essentially bacteria. Now, I raised the issue of probiotics recently on the show, and when you eat vegetables and how that's protective. Well, what I didn't get into is what are postbiotics. So you give your gut bacteria fiber, the bacteria metabolizes the fiber and give you short chain fatty acids, which are protective against intestinal cancers. So that's how your immune system helps to benefit you. But if you swallow an antibacterial, guess what you're doing to your gut bacteria? You're killing it. It's not a good idea.
All right. So I'm gonna pick this conversation up because I do want our radio listeners to also get the benefit of this conversation. So I'm actually gonna pick it up on tomorrow's show because I want to talk about what some of the science is showing and the association, the connection with the lower gut and sort of colon area bacteria. And so it is very, very interesting. And I think it's something that we definitely need to pay attention to. Thanks, Denny, for the comments.
Take care. Bye.
All right, folks. So, we're going to dig into it a little bit more tomorrow. But I was blown away by this. Like I said, someone who's always, as an adult, used mouthwash. I mean, like I said, I don't feel like my mouth is clean. And in fact, I even dilute it in my, I have a water pick, where I use that to floss, and then I do regular flossing as well. I dilute it in there on the advice of a previous dental surgeon. Imagine that. And I put it in, so, honey child, I'm going to be changing some habits here now as a result of this. Now, here's the kicker. Right there in the dental office, what do you think they have bottles of after you do a procedure, having you gargle with, depending on the type of procedure? Not the same Listerine, though. We got to educate people, folks. All right. Dion says, I never did like Listerine. Don't use it. Irvelyn says, I use TheraBreath Dental formulated. I buy a lot when we travel to Miami. Nick09 says, I switched to no alcohol mouthwash as it doesn't burn, but it may be more useful than I thought. Live Happy says, use Listerine to clean the toilet. Ms. Brenda says, try TheraBreath. I haven't heard of that before today, but where can you buy it? Is it available in Cayman? Because I find that everywhere you go, of course, Listerine being the #1 brand. So now some people, I want to highlight this, not because we're going out there and suing Listerine, but I want to highlight this because if there are better alternative, healthier options, we all need to do that because guess what? One thing we know for sure, colon cancer is on the increase. The medical profession has just dropped the age from 50 to 45, where you need to start doing screening for colon cancer. Right now, unfortunately, we have a friend who discovered that they have stage 4 colon cancer, and it's not a good situation at all. But it's a stark warning that you need to do things. You need to start doing your colonoscopies now at age 45. I did mine. I didn't know about the 45-year warning. So I did mine at 50 last year. Everything came back just fine. Folks, get it done. Our diets, the smoky meats, the processed meats, all of those things also don't help. So if it's a combination of all of these things, we have kids, colon cancer used to be kind of like an older person's disease. Now we have people in high school and teenagers who colon cancer is showing up in their bodies. And that's crazy. So there's definitely something happening that is increasing colon cancer cases across the globe, but particularly in the United States of America. So tomorrow, let's look at it. Remember our friend there, actor Chadwick Boseman, he died in 2020 after a 4-year battle, unfortunately, with colorectal cancer. And young, healthy guy otherwise. And so, you do question how much do these gut microbes really make a difference in your health? And the research points to a lot that it does. Here's the irony of it. One of the reasons that I started kind of being hyper-focused about oral health and thinking that the Listerine was the way to go is because back in the 90s, probably, they started to realize that there was a connection between oral health and cardiac arrest, right? Cardiac disease, heart attacks. So again, bacteria travels throughout your body. And the bacteria that is in your mouth doesn't stay in your mouth. It gets in your bloodstream and it travels throughout your body. So there was a connection there that I think is, I'll have to look at the most recent research on it. But again, there was definitely a connection there that said, we're noticing people with periodontal disease, dental issues, they also have heart attacks, heart-related issues. So there is a correlation between mouth and dental health and heart health, right? So I thought, oh my God, don't want that to happen. And I did have periodontal disease. A lot of people have suffered with it. And so I thought, right, let me make sure that I am using Listerine to kill everything that's in my mouth. But now we see that the use of Listerine now being connected to certain cancers, including colorectal cancer in particular. We'll delve into it tomorrow. Let's do some birthday greetings. What is today's date now? Today is December the 2nd. So we have some birthday greetings that we want to give out. So first of all, let me see here now. Today's birthdays. Big shout out to twins, Kristen and Catherine. Happy birthday. David Arch Jr., it's his birthday today. Let me see here. Kevin Dawkins, it is his birthday today. And it's also Kevin Watler's birthday. Now, I never knew the two of you shared a birthday. For some reason, that's crazy. And yesterday was the 2nd. My apologies. Yesterday was Mary's birthday. I always seem to confuse the two. Elsa Cummings has a birthday today as well. Let me see who else I missed on the 2nd. So we had Catherine Parchment, Miss Mary Rankin, happy birthday. She was the second. That was yesterday. Anita was yesterday. No, Mary's the fourth. Oh, Lord. I think I always confuse her with Kevin because Okay, so Mary is the fourth, which is tomorrow. All right, so happy birthday to both Kevins, apparently. They share a birthday today. Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Somebody says the best mouthwash is to soak cloves and cinnamon in boiling water, strain it, and use no chemicals. Okay. All right. So somebody, yes, remembers Dr. Siegel. He died on the way traveling to Cayman? Yeah, traveling to Cayman as he was going to perform surgery on my daughter for the third time and died. Oh my gosh. When I called home and told my daughter that he had died, she cried like it was family. He was Dr. Burton Siegel, very, very nice guy. I'm trying to remember when he passed away. It's been a couple years. 2021. Was it 2021? I think this is him. Is that him? 1938 to 21. I don't think that's him. Hold on. He was Canadian, right? I can't remember now. Good morning, caller.
Yes, Sandy, please. I'm asking you to wish Jeremy Powery a happy belated birthday. Her birthday was on Sunday. I know she did enjoy it. And thank you for doing that for me, please.
What was the first name?
Jeremy Powery.
Jeremy?
Yes.
All right. So happy birthday to you. Thank you so much, Miss Jeremy Powery. Happy birthday as well. Thank you, Miss Lucille. Oh, here he is. Here he is. Let me see now. Cleveland. Was he from the States? I thought he was Canadian for some reason. Cleveland Jewish News covered it. So he passed away in. Oh, he was a periodontist in Cleveland for more than 50 years, died recently. A past president of the Greater Cleveland Dental Society. So this was, what year was this? This was 2011? No, 2009. Was it that long ago? Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. I don't know why I thought he was Canadian. Was he originally from Canada? But yeah, really, really nice guy. And a great periodontal surgeon for sure. If you saw his picture, you'd probably remember him if you ever saw him. So sad. All right. So yes, folks, this was a shocker to me. And like I said, it was even more shocking when the information kind of quite ironically showed up on my Instagram profile. And I thought, wow, this is something that obviously we need to be aware of. So I'm going to go and look for that. You guys said I can buy that one here. Shaka Zulu says, again, Uncle Denny's absolutely right. I learned the same thing with my research. Miss Brenda is in the comment section. Oh, yes. Good morning, Miss Brenda. So she says to try the TheraBreath. So I need to find out who has that. Tom's Toothpaste says Shakisha is one of the best. Yes, it's at Foster's. Okay. All right. I will go to Foster's today and get some because I don't even want to give away the Listerine now because I don't want to give it to anybody. I mean, I've got a full bottle. Like I buy the big ones and I just started a new bottle. So I don't want to give that to anybody. I hate to waste product, but not if it's impacting your health potentially. Miss Dorothy says, you're awesome. Thank you for this program. You're most welcome, Miss Dorothy. So Irvlin says it's expensive. I don't buy mine here, and I have loads at home. Of course, it's expensive because, you know, anything that's healthy, honey Jill. Magdalene says, I've done numerous screenings for colorectal cancer. Good for you, girl. Today is December 3rd. Yes. Make sure that your dentist is doing mouth exams for cancer, mouth cancers. Absolutely. Mouth, throat. You know, you got to stay on top of these things as well. And sometimes, even if you're not a smoker, don't think that, you know, you still got to check these things. So pay attention to, a lot of times you might notice it because you're in your mouth more often maybe than a dentist. So if you notice any little thing going on, doesn't tell you this tooth, I was like, this thing it's been too long now. Like, this isn't getting any better. And so, again, thank you to Dr. Hannah for taking that out for me. Reggae Rocket says, colon screening for men who are afraid of a colonoscopy. Don't worry. They knock you out, laughing out loud. You'll never know somebody looked through your exit. Listen, hashtag still a virgin. Don't even go there. Listen to me, folks, men and women. Okay. This is a medical procedure. It is medically necessary for you to have, a colonoscopy. And you don't feel anything, obviously. Some of you said you've gone to places here that didn't knock you out. They kind of partially sedated. Don't mess with that, okay? Do not mess with that. I did mine last year at Health City, and they came in. We're going to put in the IV now. Start count down, 10, 9, boom, I was gone. I didn't hear nothing past 9. Woke up in the recovery area, and they're like, you're done. It wasn't even an hour. They're like, you're done. The doctor came in. He said, you know, everything looks good. We found polyps, but it's not the ones that give us concern. So, but out of abundance of caution, we take them out anyway, and we send them off to be examined. But I can tell you that those are not the ones that cause the problem. So I said, all right, honey, chill. And then when those results came back, they let me know everything's fine. You know, you're good for 10 years. Something that can save your life, unless something changes that makes you alert, you know. But just get it done, folks. Don't be thinking some of y'all are anal. Quite literally. Don't even think about it in that way. Just get the procedure done. It can save your life. Trust me. Okay. Thank you, Miss Brenda. Yeah. What did I say? December 2nd? No, today's the 3rd, honey. Yeah. Miss Anita says to check the Himalaya store. They have some, their oil rinses. Okay. I can check it out. So happy birthday to Kevin Watler and Kevin Dawkins. Anthony says you need to play the closing song by Alan Jackson. Everything I love is killing me. Lord have mercy. You know, some people are like, but Sandy, you can never tell 1 minute to tell you this. And I said, listen, research changes and we live in the era of information. So something that they thought or believed 10, 15, 20 years ago, they now know better. So by all means, go with it. You know, as we learn more information and we learn more about the importance of, you know, gut health and bacteria and how these things work, you know, yeah, things change. Nothing stays the same, including information. There's nothing wrong with that. Thank you, Karen. He was such a nice man. 2009. I can't believe it's been that long already. Oh my God. Junior says Dr. Siegel was so nice. He died shortly after messing my mouth. Yes. Doing more than a 3-hour-long surgery trying to fix the problem he created. Huh? I'm not quite so sure I follow that. Jessica says Dr. Hannah is the absolute best. Knew you were talking about her before you said her name. Anyone who's afraid of dentists, I promise you, she'll make you feel so comfortable. Yes. Go check her out at Cayman Dental. All right, folks. Tomorrow we shall. Who's knocking at my door? Hello? Hi. Oh. All right. So thank you, Jessica. Yeah, she's amazing. Now, I did tell you guys she's having a baby. She's a little bit over, I think, 6 months pregnant. So I guess she might be going on maternity leave soon, but get in before she leaves if you got something. All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the program. Now I'm going to go rest my mouth for the rest of the day. Oh, yeah. Somebody said happy birthday to Natalie Nikki Wood, who is Jerry Wood's wife. So happy birthday to her. All right, good. I think that's it. By the way, one more thing, a little sauce. I'm chasing up a couple stories. There was a woman who was found unresponsive. I guess she died on Sunday evening in South Sound, but we've heard nothing about it. The police have not said a single word. It's bizarre when the police don't say anything. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I asked the question, a woman was found unresponsive in South Sound. They don't tell you. It is weird that they don't tell you. A lot of times it might be a situation where maybe it is death by suicide. And in those cases, a lot of times they kind of don't even announce it. Well, I have a different feeling about that because, I think we need to know how many people are dying by suicide in our community. It can speak volumes to people's mental health and maybe some advocacy programs and so on that we could put in place. I'm just saying. Okay. Last night we had police presence all over the place by Fairbanks. I don't recall the RCIPS. Let me just check their notifications. As far as I know, they haven't said anything about what was going on. I suspect that it might have been, they haven't responded to my query about the woman found unresponsive. But I suspect that yesterday might have been something happening. It was like kind of in the Fairbanks area. The helicopter went up, all this stuff. The police haven't said a word about what it was. They're kind of weird with their press releases or lack thereof. And then there was also almost simultaneous to that, something going on in East End as well, because my phone was blowing up and I was confused for a second there. I'm like, okay, I'm getting complaints about East End and then stuff in Fairbanks. Which is it? There was a lot of police presence in East End as well. So I don't know. Crazy. But we'll keep our ears low to the ground. And I will certainly let you guys know if anything additional comes up. Okay, but nothing yet. The last story they had was wanted man formally charged. And that was from I think the 1st or something. Romario Brown has been charged with some burglary or something at Countryside. Okay. We'll keep our ears down to the ground, honey chill. All right, folks, as you move into, oh yes, thank you, Anthony. That's what the East End situation ended up being. It looks like a lady passed away in the pool. I don't know if she drowned, if she had a coronary event. People come on vacation and they're older. A lot of times they're not in the best of health. So the little ticker goes out when they're doing all these activities that they normally wouldn't be doing at home. So sad. So condolences to her family. And I think we did update that's what we'd heard as well, that there was some kind of incident in the pool. Oh Lord, what a mess. I wouldn't want to go in that pool again. All right, Shaka Zulu. I think most people don't publicize suicide occurrences, especially by the media. I mean, you'd be surprised. It's trying to not make it as taboo for people to talk about. When you hide things and media doesn't report about it, it kind of has this mystification about it. And I think we need to demystify it, quite frankly. And people are more likely to then seek help and talk about the fact that they're feeling suicidal and that they need help. Food for thought. Okay, folks. Again, big shout out to Dr. Hannah. Okay, y'all have a beautiful day. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Now tomorrow morning is going to be, I think I'll be here Thursday morning because the flight is a little bit later on. So I think I can make it in the morning. It's December. We try to do a little mini trip in December for Gigi to kind of get in the Christmas vibe because everywhere in the United States is like Christmas trees and Santas and, everything is going on Christmassy. The lights are up and you get a different vibe walking in a mall. Sorry, Cayman doesn't have any malls. So you kind of get into the Christmas spirit, and that kicks off, that's like our family. We try to do a couple family trips for the year. So that's another fun family trip. I was trying to do a photo shoot going away, maybe sit on Santa's lap, tell him what I want for Christmas, all that kind of good fun stuff. So we're going to do just a couple days. The weather been a little bit, I don't know what Miami weather's like, but I know Tampa's weather was kind of chilly a couple days last week. And I love a little change in the weather, honey child, one that requires a sweater. So I'm looking forward to that. All right. So I'm going to go and rest my mouth, and take it easy. But so far, feeling pretty good. Just going to rest up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Okay. So have a beautiful day. Be safe.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.